In this video, we look at the Asbtract Factory design pattern. This is one of the 23 design patterns that were proposed by the Gang of Four in their book. The Asbtract Factory is a pattern, a design pattern, and using an Asbtract Factory, we can create a family of related objects. In fact, families of related objects. When we get an Asbtract Factory object, we are getting the ability to get a hold of many different types of objects that will do different things, but for a different, but for a certain type of product. So in this case, we have GUI, two types of GUI technologies, swing and FX. So the Asbtract Factory object will either create GUI swing related stuff or FX related stuff. Drag and drop, copy and paste, rendering, etc. are done differently for swing and FX. In fact, they are very different. So when we get a Asbtract Factory object in this particular program, that program is either geared towards swing or towards FX. You can ask it to create information for drag and drop. And if it is a swing object, so it will create the necessary objects for swing technology. If it was FX, it would create the object for FX. Let's see a more concrete way of looking at this. Here is the UI Factory interface. So any object of type UI Factory has all these methods. So when the controller gets a UI Factory object, it can call this method, create, copy, paste, transfer information. So when we have to copy, when the controller is asked to copy an object, it will call this UI Factory object to create, copy, paste, transfer information. So this is where it will store all the information for copying the objects. And when it is time to paste, you will get this, you will invoke this method, get, copy, paste, transfer information, so that you can get the objects that need to be pasted. When we are doing drag drop, when we begin dragging, we call create, drag, drop, transfer information. If it is a Java FX object, it will create the necessary objects for doing drag drop under FX. Likewise for swing. And when it is time to drop, we will probably call this get, drag, drop, transfer information, so that we can actually drop the shape or shapes onto the screen. The view will get different types of renderers, swing renderers or FX renderers from the UI Factory. The UI Factory for swing will give you a swing renderer when you call this method. There are two types of renderers in each technology. One is a normal renderer, the other one is a highlighting renderer. We haven't demoed what a highlighting renderer would do. So let's do that at this point in time. Let's look at the demo for a few seconds. So here is the drawing program. This is a Java FX window. There is a highlight button here. You can see there are 3 lines here. If I click highlight, the lines are highlighted. So you can know where you have to click to select a line. If you click this again, it stops highlighting. So the renderer for highlighting is going to be different from the renderer that does not do highlighting. So there are two types of renderers for both FX and swing. One highlights or is capable of highlighting. The other one is not capable of highlighting. So when you click highlight, the renderer is switched. So we have this UI Factory interface, and there are two implementations of it, as you would imagine, one for FX, the other one for swing. So this class, FX UI Factory, implements UI Factory. So it has to implement all the methods. We are not going to get into the details of this, but you can get a sense of what we are doing here. When we create copy, paste, transfer information, we create an object of type FX copy, paste, transfer information. This is not a very pleasant class to look at. It has lots and lots of FX related code in it. It is pretty hard to understand. And there are methods to create drag drop information. The code here is not all that hard, but the code inside these classes are very dependent on the FX technology. And the swing code is equally complex to understand because they are so dependent on the specific technology used to implement these operations. Remember, these operations will allow you to drag and drop from the drawing program to arbitrary programs in the system. So it has to do a lot of work. Similarly, copy and paste from the drawing program to other programs like, say, Word or some other word processor.